My name is Chloe Purcell, and my final project is on global account management. For this presentation, I will be exploring my degree path and the details of global account management. I chose this topic because I would like to learn more about all the details of this job. My goal is to get a job as a global account manager. Before I do that, I need to learn what the pros and cons are and what is involved with this job. Before I get too far into this field, I need to find out what I want my specialty to be. Global account management has a few different specialties to choose from. The first one being marketing, the second one being finance, the third one being trade, the fourth being management, and finally the fifth, which is entrepreneurship. All of these different specialties have a lot of different pros, and quite honestly, they all interest me. But I do have two that I do prefer. Those two are marketing and management. On the next slide, I'll talk a little bit more about what is involved with the two specialties. In a journal article written by David Griffith, he says, global marketing managers are tasked with the unenviable position of needing to make strategic decisions on products, pricing, promotions, and distribution in an integrated effort across multiple markets that vary institutionally, or economically, legally, and culturally. That means I will have to consistently keep up with all the constant changes of each country's promotional needs. Just because an advertising campaign works in Italy does not mean that same campaign will work in the United States. I will most likely be a part of a team or head up a team that will work to strategize and compile data from all of our different global markets. The pros with marketing is that I'll be able to really bring out my creative side, but the cons are I'll have to learn how to make my creativity appeal to quite a few different markets instead of just one. Peter Cheverton says in his book that one of the working conditions of the job is achieving strategic supplier status by making a positive impact on the customer's business strategy, which means you have to understand that strategy and how it translates into the customer's money-making logic. With management, it's more about building a relationship with the customer. You're not necessarily the seller, but you are making sure they want to buy your product. The pros is that I love to build new relationships. The con is that I wouldn't be able to use as much of my creative side. When going into the international business world, learning a second language is very important. Mayor Norifshar says, using even the very basics of a new language can establish a closer connection with the native speaker of that language. This initiative can send positive signals of acceptance, trust, and interest to the native speakers. A business professional can certainly benefit from establishment of such a positive relationship. So, after reading that and doing a lot more research on the benefits of learning a second language, the next question was, which language do I learn? And there were quite a few different languages that are actually really popular in the business world. For example, there's Arabic, Spanish, German, Portuguese, Russian, French, Japanese, but Mandarin happened to be the most popular. I was so excited to learn that Mandarin was the top language to learn if you're going into international business. I have always had a great interest in China, and I've always wanted to learn Mandarin, and now I have a great excuse. Bob Lee Black says in his article that by 2020, the U.S. will no longer be the reigning global economic champion. By then, which country do you predict will have a bigger GDP than the U.S.? Germany? India? As I'm sure some of you guessed, it will be China. Some people think that since China will become an even stronger economic force in years ahead, our business leaders should learn Chinese today to take advantages of opportunities for growth in tourism and trade in the future. After doing some research, experts say that it takes 2,200 hours of studying and practicing to become an expert in Mandarin. So I definitely need to get started now. My working conditions will actually be quite easy, I feel. I will mostly be in a business environment. So, like you can see in the pictures, having business dinners or lunches, going out and building those relationships, and I'll be in airplanes, traveling, maybe trains and automobiles as well. And I'll also be in conference rooms, business meetings, etc. So the environment or the working condition that I will be in is very businesslike, nothing new for anyone that has already been in the business world before. There's really not anything too extensive about the international business working condition. Alright, now for the most important part, the salary. And I had actually never looked up the salary of a global account manager. It was just something I've always been interested in, so actually I was pleasantly surprised to find out that the national average for a global account manager salary is $105,000 according to Glassdoor. Obviously, I think the majority of the population would be happy with this salary. There's definitely a lot of different things I can still do. I'll still be able to go on vacations, be able to afford a living, my mortgage payments, my car payments. So, I mean, yeah, I'm very pleased with the salary of Global Account Manager, and hopefully I will get there one day. In conclusion, I still need to decide what I want my focus to be. Like we went over, there are quite a few different specialties, narrowed it down to marketing and management, but I still am a bit on the fence. I have to say I'm really glad I did this presentation and I got to dive a bit more deep into what a global account manager does and what the details that go into it are. After doing this, I have to say that I'm leaning more towards the management side. I know I won't be able to use my creativity as much, but I think that building those relationships and learning what they look for, maybe I'll be able to have some input to give to our creative team. So it's not something I'll be doing 24/7, but I could give them some feedback or maybe some helpful tips. I think also with doing the management side, I'm not going to be stuck in an office or behind a computer screen. I'll get to get more out there in the real world and have real relationships and conversations, and that's something I'm really looking forward to. And for my second task, I need to start learning Mandarin. So I will definitely have to find time to fit that into my schedule and really get serious about it. It's something I've always wanted to do. Now I have a great reason to start learning it, and I think that once I start getting into it, I'm just going to end up liking it more and more. So once again, I'm really excited that I got to do this presentation. It was a lot of fun, and I'm glad I got to do it on something that I'm really interested in. And finally, here are my works cited pages. I do have 3 of them, citing every picture that I use, the background picture, the smaller pictures I use throughout the slideshow, and also the YouTube video. And I've also cited my scholarly references and all my references I use throughout the slideshow as well, so I will let those play out.